Republicans are showing their true colors. And this is something you'll definitely want to pay attention to in today's episode. Welcome back to Saving the Republic with Joe State, presented by Grab Your Gear Network, where we speak to hardworking Americans. If you're a hard worker, you want to check us out, you want to follow us, we come to you guys Monday, Wednesday, Friday, bringing you the news that you really want to see, you need to hear about, but that the mainstream news is probably not going to cover. And we like to explain why these stories are going to affect your life as a hardworking American. Not all news companies do that. In fact, I would venture to say that almost none do that. But that's what we try to do here at Saving the Republic and Grab Your Gear Network. We also have a plethora of other content offerings available on the channel and our social media channels. You want to follow us at Grab Your Gear on Instagram and TikTok. And we have a weekly long form podcast here on YouTube, as well as our documentary that is currently live, The Union Hustle. You want to check it out. So, with all that being said, let's get into today's show. Now, today's show, I wanted to focus on, a continuation of the previous topics we've discussed, but also a continuation of the news cycle regarding the incoming administration and how this is going to affect your life. And this is something that you will absolutely want to pay attention to if you're a taxpayer, if you're a voter. And that is the discussion of what is a Republican, right? What is a Republican? We have seen so many people come out and go down this path of saying they're a Republican, but then supporting initiatives such as a seemingly unlimited money pot to Ukraine with no accountability, right? No way to trace this money. We've seen Republicans come out in favor of ballooning deficits. We all know about the national debt issue, right? Something that Republicans want to run away from. And we could go down the list of these issues that you should not support if you're a Republican. In fact, the one that we're going to talk about today in this episode specifically is a person who has supported trans people, in the military. Okay? This is not good stuff. This is not good stuff whatsoever. And the idea is this. If you're a hardworking person, especially if you're conservative and you think you're Republican, you need to take a hard look at who you're voting for. And we should keep our leaders, we should keep our elected officials accountable, especially with this effective mandate. President Trump won the popular vote for the first time in a long time. The first time a Republican has won the popular vote in a long, long time. I think since George W. Bush, following 9/11 in 2004, is the first time the Republican has won the popular vote. So Donald Trump has a mandate to carry out the American people's desire, and the desire is change. The desire is accountability. The desire is to build a government that is by and for the people, right? And so, as many of you have seen, Pete Hegseth, the former U.S. military service member, also went on to serve and worked at Fox News in the media, is the nominee for Secretary of Defense. And Pete has been suffering what I would say is the onslaught of the machine. Okay, we've seen just an innumerable amount of news companies coming out against Pete. The mainstream news, of course, NBC, CNN, and they're digging up accusations of sexual assault from a long, long time ago with very little backing. Okay, these claims have been contested. There's also a claim about Pete from, some email that his mom sent years and years ago regarding his divorce. And she has come out multiple times in support of Pete recently. But, the reason I wanted to talk about, what is a true Republican and Republicans need to be held accountable is because Senator Joni Ernst, all right, this is somebody that we're going to focus on today. And she's in Iowa. And we have seen already people like Charlie Kirk and others discuss the idea of primarying Joni Ernst. And what you're looking at here on the screen is this from Wall Street Mav. Senator Joni Ernst is up for re-election in 2026. We need to primary this neocon in 26. She's a leading force among Republican senators trying to knife Pete Hegseth. Some say she wants the position herself. She's a neocon who favors maximum foreign wars for the USA. And as you can see, Senate unanimously passes Ernst-backed measure to help speed up lethal aid to Ukraine. And guys, look, there's a pathetic video of Joni Ernst. I mean, literally crying about sending money to Ukraine. All right. And regardless of where you stand on this issue of Ukraine, because if we're going to be honest about it, if we're going to be objective, the reality is that you can have a nuanced position on Ukraine. I would tend to fall into the camp of, we need accountability. If we're sending money, we need to know where it's going. We need to be able to track where that money's going. Also, what is the winning strategy? But regardless, the idea that you're going to get up on the stand and cry about sending money to Ukraine, which we don't need to get started on Ukraine. We all know how it's one of the most corrupt countries in the history of the world. If you look at, how things were run in the past 20 to 30 years, Ukraine was a very, very corrupt country until, guess what? All of a sudden, it is a money pot for the military industrial complex. There are also, Tucker Carlson just went to Moscow and interviewed Russia's foreign minister. I forget, is it Tarlov? His name is Tarlov, I believe. But he was talking about how there are natural resources in Ukraine that, the U.S. is concerned about maintaining control / access to. And, whether that's true or not, look, can we trust Russia's word on everything? No. But whether that's true or not, there are multiple vested interests in us remaining and keeping our aid to Ukraine, flowing. And so we have to ask these questions. But Joni Ernst, as I was saying, was, questioning Pete Hegseth's nomination. Now, what I'm going to show you guys right now is a reason that we should question her. All right. Look, Senator Joni Ernst voted to confirm Lloyd Austin for Secretary of Defense, who turned our military into a woke laughingstock, pretty much. So she supports, all this, but she does not support a strong conservative who will strengthen our military and hold the DC war machine accountable. Precisely. Another one. Charlie Kirk. Here's Joni Ernst praising trans in the military. She says she wants a trans fighting force. Guys, come on now. Is this really a conservative? Is this what we're considering a conservative in 2024? Somebody who is arguing for transgender people in the military? Because let's be real. Like, say how you want, but the fact of the matter is that in the trans community, people who are transgender, people who have gender identity disorder, the suicide ideation rate is very, very high. All right. And the bottom line is, do we want people with a high suicide ideation rate around weapons, especially in the front lines, especially around, sensitive information and, highly valuable, possessions, right? Highly valuable weapons. We probably shouldn't have people who are suicidal around those types of things. Common sense. But this is Joni Ernst, and she's coming out against Pete Hegseth. And it just makes you ask the question, guys. And this is what I want to pose to you right now. If you are a Republican voter, you need to be aware of who is in your district. Who's your congressman, right? This is very simple stuff we can take advantage of as Americans and as voters, but something that I didn't necessarily know or pay attention to until I got more involved, in state government is I realized, look, you need to know who your state senators are, who your state representatives are, but also your congressmen and definitely your senators, right? Because if you don't have the map of where you're located, if you don't know who's representing you, you definitely can't take action against those people if they go against their promise to you, which is to, serve you. That's the bottom line. And another thing I want to share here real quickly is this. Okay. Look, this sums it up perfectly. Let's see if I can. Here we go. Dear Republican senators, if you voted to confirm Lloyd Austin and won't vote to confirm Pete Hegseth, you will be primaried and shamed into oblivion. Signed, Americans who are fed up with your backstabbing. And that's precise. That is exactly correct. This is the dude you voted for. This dude going overseas looking like a buffoon with his shield and mask. All right. And you won't vote for Pete Hegseth. Now, if this conversation were about the merits of Pete Hegseth, about his resume, about his experience, about his background, I would have no problem asking those questions. But the problem is that we are not asking the questions. We quote unquote as Republicans are saying, "Oh yeah, we're not going to vote for Pete Hegseth because blah blah blah, or, this or that, because he made certain statements about women or whatever." Contested claims that are at the very most contested, at the very least, you know, highly debatable as to whether we should even look at these things because they have been argued in court and nothing has come from these claims. So this is what I want to get through in this show. And you guys know we like to keep it focused and to the point. If we have somebody on, we'll go a little bit longer sometimes, but these shows that I make with you for you guys, I want to get a message through and I want you to take something home, and you don't have to spend an entire hour listening to it. Now, sometimes we have longer shows, but look, this episode, I want you to take this away. Are these really Republicans? Is the person representing you an actual Republican? Because the way this person is acting, she's not an actual Republican. She's a Republican in name only, a rhino. That's where the acronym came from, in name only. But guess what? Miss Joni Ernst, you know what she likes to do? She likes to go dine with the vice president, Kamala Harris, and all these Democrat senators, and rub shoulders and whatever you want to call it with these people. All right, wants to go cozy up with them and have a good old time. That's what Joni Ernst likes to do. I'm trying to find the exact tweet that I saw earlier where she was doing that. But look, guys, we need to keep these people accountable. So I've already seen rumblings, and funny enough, Steve Deace, I don't know if he's being serious or not. Time will certainly tell on that one. But Steve Deace, who hosts the Steve Deace Show, also something I watch, Michigan podcast, because I'm a Michigan football fan, has discussed and tossed around the idea of primarying Ernst if he gets Trump's blessing, which that will be very interesting. And I'd love to talk to our friend Mark Rogers, who will be joining us tomorrow on Friday. As I know he works with Steve sometimes, so I'm sure he'd have an interesting perspective on that. But regardless, guys, the takeaway from this episode, the message from this episode is we need to hold people accountable. All right. Joni Ernst is not representative of Republicans. And the bottom line is if our senators, if our representatives are going to stand in the way of what we voted for, if they're going to stand in the way of the clear mandate from the American people, I think they are abandoning their duty as your elected official, right? They are feeling superior, I guess you could say, right? Above you as the voter, and that's not okay. So we need to keep these people accountable. You need to be aware of who these people are that are representing you, and we need to look at options, right? Let's see what we can do. Let's see who we can replace us with. So let me know what you guys think down below. What do you think of Joni Ernst? What do you think of President Trump's nominations? More good news on the front coming with that I will be discussing tomorrow with Mark Rogers. More great nominations. So let us know what you think on all that down below. Again, follow us here at the show temporarily for the next month or two. We will be coming to you Tuesday, Thursday, and Fridays. So be sure to stay tuned and subscribe to the channel. Press that notification bell for every time we go live. And thank you so much for watching today. And I'll see you tomorrow, Friday, with Mark Rogers. Take care.